We are back at the intake. It is late November, pretty much December. So I just came up to see what the flow of water was like since I shut it down in September when I left. I just got back. I didn't want to be gone while it went through its first freeze cycle. So the flow looks like it's okay, pretty slow compared to summer, but not too bad. Everything looks like it's functioning as it should. Right now the bypass in the powerhouse is running and it's letting out about as much water as one nozzle would roughly letting out. And we still have kind of this much overflow. Get a better shot of that. Still have roughly this much overflow. So there should be enough water to run 2 nozzles. But just wanted to come up, see how things were doing, and then I can, hook the batteries back up, get her going again, and maybe turn the lights on. This is really cool. You can see the water flowing through the pipe is like melting the snow above it. So at least I won't get lost. So we're back in the powerhouse and everything looks good down here. You can see it's a little bit of condensation buildup on the pipe, but it's actually only on the pipe. The walls are still dry, the ceiling's still dry. So I think it's just because there's cold water in a in a warm room. I put this little max min thermometer in here, so you can tell it moves that little blue needle, stays where it's been the coldest. The red needle stays where it's been the warmest. It looks like it's about 5 degrees down here, even though it's -10 outside. So even without, this thing spinning, it's still pretty warm in here, above freezing. So that's really great news. But anyway, so we still have our, where is that there? So we're still at 140 PSI. In the pipe, so the pipe's still full. I've had the bypass on for the few months I've been gone. That's what that sound is. So the water's still been flowing through that pipe and around the system, and that way it didn't freeze while I was gone. But everything looks good at the intake, everything looks good down here. So we'll go put the batteries back in the battery bank, and then we'll fire up the spinny thing. Okay, so I got the batteries and everything back in and hooked up. So it's quite cold today, about -10, so I have this little propane heater in here to keep the batteries warm. You're not supposed to charge them past freezing. So I put one of those max min thermometers in here too, so you can see it's just warming up to above freezing, but it went all the way down to just a little bit cooler than -10. So anyway, we got this running to keep these things warm, but we'll take it out for now. Okay, and there was a certain order of hooking all this stuff up that I definitely didn't really know about last time. So I'll go through the starting order a little more thoroughly this time, so you can see how, to my knowledge, it's supposed to be done. So first thing you want to do is you want to turn on this circuit breaker, and that basically allows now the batteries, when you turn them on, this allows the batteries to talk to the inverter during their pre-charge because this is on. So then you see they go through and they light their little lights up. So they do their own little self-check, and then once the run lights are going, that means they're good to go. Now it's okay to turn the inverter on. And while the inverter turns on, so I didn't have this connected originally, so you can see it, there's lithium ion here. So this talks to this first battery here, then this battery talks to the second battery. The dip switches have to be all down. These dip switches here on the first battery, so that says that it's the master battery, so that's what it's communicating with the inverter. And then all the other dip switches have to be set differently, and it doesn't really matter what they are. But anyway, so we're going to turn, this is the PV in, so the turbine is spinning. We have one nozzle open right now, so we have 102 watts coming in at 150 volts. So remember, as this number goes down, this number usually goes up. So with one nozzle open, the inverter itself takes about 135 watts continuous to run, which is good in the sense that it creates enough heat that it heats this thing up, but it's bad that if it takes 130 watts and there's only 164 coming in, 170, that's not much to charge the batteries. So you can see the batteries are not blinking the SOC lights there. So the batteries are not charging, which is not ideal. But anyway, we'll let this run for a little bit with the heater in here, let everything get geared up, and let's see how it goes. All right, so we're back. There wasn't enough flow to handle two nozzles open, so I just changed it to one nozzle, and I came up to check to see what the overflow was like. It seemed to have been holding for a little bit, but there's no overflow coming out at all, even with one nozzle open. So this is not looking promising. So just back from the intake, checking on the water supply, and with no overflow, it is confirmed that there's just not enough water even to keep one nozzle open, so we're gonna have to shut her down. There's the culprit right there. So this is the clean out, and you'll see there's a little leak coming out. There it is. You see that drip there? So there's a leak coming out the bottom of the clean out. So I bet if I just tighten this up and stop that leak there, then there'll be enough water to run that nozzle. No problem. No, I'm just kidding. That's not gonna make or break my system. I think there's just not enough water flowing right now. This is the lowest I've ever seen it, and it's just not enough to run the turbine. It's not frustrating at all. Well, I never thought I'd be so happy for it to piss rain in December, but it's been about 4 days straight of snow and rain, a lot of moisture, and I'm cautiously optimistic that will reflect in the amount of water we see in the creek. And hopefully, oh wow, look how much it snowed up here. Everything's buried. But hopefully there's enough water that we'll be able to turn the hydro back on. I don't know if that looks like more or not. I'll pop my skis off and we'll go take a look. All right, well, the heavy snow did a little bit of damage to my intake here. Just collapsed some rock, but this water amount looks definitely like more than it was. But who knows? I'll have to go turn a nozzle on and find out. But I'll unbury that pipe, clean all this stuff off, and yeah, fingers crossed. All right, so I got everything cleaned up a little bit. I'm pretty happy I ended up putting this kind of stronger metal underneath here. I think that snow load would have probably punched a hole through. It pulled off this screen, so the bottom's open now, but I don't know. Stapler 2 should take care of that. But if you look close, you'll see the wax has come off the rock. So we're getting quite a bit of water dripping in behind now. So I can fix that wax every time I come up, but it would be nice to figure out how to prevent water from like getting in behind here. Some sort of permanent fix would be great, but For now, we fixed the wax. All right, so just got back to the powerhouse. The pressure is already back up to 140. So we're going to turn off the bypass. So that's been running, again, just to keep water going through that 3-inch pipe so that it didn't freeze while I wasn't using the turbine. And now we're gonna get the turbine going, and we just have this turned off. So right now it's just going with one nozzle, and we'll go turn everything on and come back and make sure that the pressure in the pipe hasn't dropped, meaning the pipe is staying full this time. So we'll get this going. Oh, that's so cool. We're turning the power on. We're turning the power on. We're turning the power on. Turning the power on. So I've had this on with a little pilot light to keep this closet warm. Looks like it's kind of stayed above freezing the whole time. Wow. Sorry it's so dark all the time, but I ain't got no lights. So this goes on. And these come on. Now we do inverter on. 234, so we're making 22 watts. We're gonna watch that number come down, and hopefully the watts come up. So that number will go down to 120. And hopefully the watts will come up. Okay, good, good. And we just need the watts to stay above 150, ideally. Man, if it sat at 188, I would be fired up. 200. Okay, so we'll keep our eye on that. We'll let it run for a few hours, or maybe half an hour, and then we'll go check the pressure in the powerhouse to make sure that that pipe's not draining. So it's been about an hour, and I'm just gonna check the watts to see how they're doing. I think there's 2 ways you can kind of tell. We are still at 155. Nice. So that means the pipe is hopefully still full. But let's go to the powerhouse and check. So check the watts, makes it seem like it's still full. We'll go to the powerhouse, double check the pipe's still full. Maybe throw the second nozzle on just for fun. All right, so after over an hour, we are still at 140. Awesome. Woo, we can run one nozzle. But just for fun, let's turn the other one on and see what happens. Just while we wait to see if that penstock stays full with 2 nozzles open, just thought I'd come see how many watts we're generating with that second nozzle. Looks like 457. Man, the difference between 1 nozzle and 2 nozzles is crazy. And I bet, yeah, look, those batteries are charging as well. You can see that blinking light there. And the lower blinking light. So both batteries are charging. We're making over 450 watts. That's ideal. It would be really nice if we could keep that second nozzle open. Man, I hope that pipe stays full. 436. Uh-oh. Is it going down already? So yeah, within 15 minutes we're down to 130 psi. So unfortunately we can only run 1 nozzle. I wonder if I could feather that bulb out there to run that second nozzle like at half capacity. I wonder if that would help. Huh. We'll wait for the pipe to fill up again and maybe we'll keep playing with it. Alright, so we are back up to 140. So there's definitely enough pressure to be running more than 1 nozzle. I'm sure there's a reason I shouldn't do this, but I'm just going to crack this open a little bit. So that's fully open. So I wonder if I keep like that. That'll give me a little bit more power, but not totally complete the pipe. Alright, well with that nozzle throttled Let's see what we're getting. 350. Hey, that would be pretty awesome. That seems like a good balance between the 160 with one nozzle and the 450 with two nozzles. If we could keep 300 and keep that pipe full, I'd be pretty happy. So let's go see if that pipe is still full. Please, 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 please be at 140. Please, please, please. No! So that's not gonna work. Oh, crap. Overall, I think I'm happy with the fact that it seems like everything that I've done to prevent the freezing and keep water moving, that seems to be working really well. I still have water in my cabin, I can have hot showers, flush the toilet, which is sweet. I'm a little disappointed that there's not enough flow to keep that second nozzle open, because I think that would make a huge difference as far as keeping the batteries charged, keep the inverter working hard enough to keep that closet warm. I think the only answer I can think of is ordering different size nozzles. So if that first nozzle was bigger and it let more water through to create more power, or if the second nozzle was smaller, you could kind of use that little bit of extra water. But I don't have any other size nozzles, so maybe I'll see if I can order some different size nozzles and that'll help. But overall, I think, you know, micro hydro semi-functional in December. Overall, pretty happy. Yeah, looks like I might be able to get an hour or two of power a day, which is better than 0. So, yeah. That's it. Well, it is almost Christmas. So as a Christmas present to myself, I just turned everything on. Just one nozzle, and I came up to see if there's any overflow. It's been quite wet and snowy, so I'm hoping we're gonna see just a little bit of overflow. Enough to keep one nozzle open. And we don't got any overflow. Oh, this thing, man. I wish there was more water in this creek. That seems like it should be ample though, doesn't it? Look how much water there is. Why won't you spin my turbine? In about the 45 minutes it takes me to walk up and back to the intake, it's gone down about 10 psi. So, man, 10 psi like an hour. It's so close to working. But it's not! We are finally through our polar vortex. It got down to like minus 38 at my little house. And I kept the water going for a bit, but eventually it totally froze up. So, yeah, I just got back after a few weeks away, and it's warm, and it's rainy, and I'm hoping that the creek is gonna be flowing. I've been without power now for 4 months, since like November, so today might be the day. Here we go for cautious optimism. And as we rock up to it, it's definitely not flowing fast. That's a fair bit of water. It's not a ton for sure. It looks like this is peeling away a little bit. I think maybe as the snow settles on the intake screen, it kind of moves it around, pushes it back, and it breaks that seam. So definitely have to come up with a better system than this. But anyway, we'll go down to the powerhouse, check to see if the 3-inch pipe is unfrozen and we have full power in the powerhouse. And if that's the case, I should be able to at least turn my water back on and maybe even turn the turbine back on. And I haven't been to the battery closet since the deep freeze. So I'm just gonna have a quick look to see what's going on in there. Looks like, wow, it got cold in here. Minus 28. So I wasn't using the system. The batteries definitely froze, but hopefully that didn't do any sort of long-term damage. But I couldn't really help it. I couldn't even keep the inside warm during that freeze. It was cold. But anyway, it's a beautiful day today. I'm gonna get some heat in that little cabinet via the heater, some propane just to warm the batteries up before I turn the system on. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I'm just bored mostly, so we'll turn it on and see what happens. Okay, so we got our little propane heater going to heat up the batteries in the inverter before I turn them on. I feel like that's a tremendous fire hazard. But while we wait for that to heat up, we're gonna head over to the intake and have another look to see what the creek looks like. If it's still flowing like it was yesterday, we should be able to turn it on. Okay, so I played around with it just a little bit more, and this is what I think the final flow rate is gonna be. I'm not sure what it is, but let's go turn a nozzle on and see if it's enough to hold the pressure in the pipe. Woohoo! Back from the intake, where it looks like we have enough water to turn this on. We've had the heater going here for a little while. So it's now up to, oh, I don't know, 100 degrees in here. So I think that should have taken the chill off of everything. So we'll go ahead and take the heater out, flip everything on, go back, turn on the wheel, and see what happens. Woohoo! I even remember how to do this. First, batteries get turned on. Then this comes on, so this comes on. Got everything turned off into the house, so no in, zero out. I'm gonna throw this on. Oh, that needs to be closed. That can come on. And now when I open the wheel, we'll get a voltage up here. So let's go do that. I'm gonna go turn the wheel on. Okay, wow, travels way faster when the snow is firm. So, 140 PSI, so we know the pipe's full. Time to wake up this sleeping beauty. Screw it, let's go for it. We're gonna open this nozzle too. Let's see what we got. We had 500 watts. Yay! That's what we were expecting, but it's still good to see. Actually, just because I'm not using any power right now, I just want to see if I can charge those batteries up a little bit. So turn the inversion function off, so all the power just goes straight to the batteries. Get that. Whoa, 650 watts. Go back to 650. Anyway, we're back to 500. It looks, so this light bulb is gone, so we know it's not inverting and sending power to the light bulb. It's just accepting the PV1, DC to DC, and charging the batteries up. So if we're lucky, the lights on the batteries might even be blinking. Oh, they're both blinking, so both batteries are actually charging. Nice. Leave it like that for maybe a few hours and see if we can't charge those batteries up. And then if it gets cold again, at least they'll be more full instead of freezing 50% full batteries. I wish I didn't have to freeze them one day. It's been about an hour that this thing's been running. Let's see how we're doing. We are at 180 watts. Ah! So what I don't understand is why this is at 146 instead of 120. Because as this goes down towards 120, this usually goes up higher. And so why would this not be at 120 and then this would be, I don't know, higher than 190? I guess we're probably losing pressure out of the pipe right now too, would be my guess. Looks like we're still charging the batteries though. Are these lights still blinking? No. So these lights are blinking when it's charging and they're not. They're just solid, so the batteries aren't charging. This system is confusing. Well, February 2024. Still no power.
Ah!